It looks like we're ready to go whenever you are.
Okay, welcome to our regular meeting, Chapter City Council, Tuesday, May 19, 2020. Call to order at 7:01 p.m. Roll call. All council members are present. And approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yasmina, did you send out an amended agenda shortly ago?
It was a staff report attachment for management report number 1.
Do we need to make a motion to?
No, it was just several pages were missing, but everything else is the same.
Just want to make sure. Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, second by Councilmember Givens.
Councilmember Givens,
Aye.
Lopez,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
and Alvarado.
Yes. All right, we're moving on to public comments. Yes, public comments is open. Yasmina?
We have not received any comments or emails into the city clerk email by 5 o'clock today. None were received.
Okay. Public comment is closed. Moving on to council announcements and reports. And we'll start off with Councilmember Prout.
I don't believe I have anything other than, we're moving right along here, and I'm hoping that we'll soon get on where more people can get involved and we can be face to face.
Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you. Moving on, to Councilmember Givens.
Yeah, I got a few things. Mike, I think you and I spoke a little earlier. I just want to confirm if there's a way that the survey that was sent out for State Avenue and Way, I had a handful of landlords hit me up, not so much the residents living in the homes, but landlords who are requesting that survey be sent to them as well, which is what I assumed would end up happening. So if there's a way that we can find the landlords and their addresses and send that survey to them also, they would greatly appreciate that. Also had a great idea come up to us and want to see if there's something we can do as a council of doing a drive-in movie night. There are some groups around the area who are able to do FM transmitters, so you can sit in your car like the old school drive-in movies, have a nice big screen and sit in your car and listen to a movie. It'd be a nice way just to allow people to socialize by socially distancing themselves, but still doing something good for the community. So I'll give that one over to you, Gabriel. It'd be really nice to see us do something. If you need help with businesses and parking lots, let me know. We can definitely coordinate that and work together.
Why couldn't Chamber or one of the organizations do that? It shouldn't be the city.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be good if we want to throw it with Chamber. I want to at least address it here. And Gabriel, if you want to get with Chamber and go down that road, I think that's good to go that road as well. Just something. It'd be a good way for us just to continue keeping the positive spirit within the Shafter residents. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Garcia.
Just would like to thank all the city workers and that are cleaning lots and just the gentleman that's I don't know who's the one that actually delegates it, but I just want to thank the manager for taking care of the lot behind Redwood. Our yard back there looks good. I got a few texts back that people texted me in that neighborhood that they really appreciated it, how it looks now. And so I want to thank the manager, but also, Michael James and Kevin and all the workers that made it happen, the guys in the tractors and all that. So just my kudos to those guys. And I see the lots again to Matt Maldonado. He's our code compliance guy on Beach right there, gotten cleaned up. And the one next to the units, the storage units as well, looks good next to there. Across from the general's headquarters, that looks like it's 1 inch low. So just the whole entire, kudos to the community, to the guys working hard, our city guys. Really, my hat goes off to them. It really looks good, and real proud of all that. So thank all of you guys.
All right, thank you very much for that, Councilmember Garcia. Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
I have nothing at the time, Gilbert. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to say the same as pretty much echo what everyone's saying. I do have a question. This is maybe for Rachel, or if someone may know, is that the 4th of July, does anybody know if they're going to have that 4th of July event at the high school?
Mayor Alvarado and council, the chamber has decided to postpone the 3rd of July fireworks show to Saturday, September 5th.
Okay, postponed to September 5th?
That weekend of Labor Day.
Okay, but that's September 5th, Rachel?
Yes,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
the weekend of Labor Day, and that is because of everything going on and the situation's just so fluid. The chamber decided that it would be best to postpone the event versus cancel the event for right now.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. All right, that's all. I just needed clarification on that. Thank you very much. Moving on to consent calendar. Just want anyone to take a look at it, and can I get a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to consent the calendar.
Okay,
I'll second that.
we have a motion by Councilmember Garcia and second by Councilmember Givens to accept the consent calendar.
Councilmember Givens,
Aye.
Lopez,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes,
Garcia,
Yes.
and Alvarado.
Yes. Okay, well, we're moving on to manager's report. And the first item on there is the classification and compensation study professional service agreement.
Certainly, Mayor and Council, this is an item that comes to you this evening for your approval on a contractual agreement with a firm to conduct a study. I'm going to have our HR manager provide you the background on that. One minor correction on the recommendation listed here is that we are not asking for a budget amendment of the $30,000 from the unassigned general fund balance, as we have done a cost allocation to all departments, being that the employees that will be the positions of these employees that will be part of the study. We've done a cost allocation to the various departments, and there's monies within the existing budget to cover the cost. So just to clarify, we are not asking for a budget amendment in the amount of $30,000 from the unassigned general fund balance. With that, I'll have our HR manager provide the background of the staff report. So, Carol.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. In the 2020 Shafter Public Works MOU, the city agreed to conduct a compensation study for the 2021 labor negotiations to determine the total compensation market value of each recognized position within the public works. On March 5th, city staff met with the union to initiate the compensation study. And during that meeting, it was agreed that a classification study would be included with the compensation study. The purpose of the classification study is to obtain accurate and descriptive information about the work in each classified position. The ultimate goal is that we update our job descriptions for those positions and ensure that the recognized positions are classified correctly. On March 11, HR staff met with the Public Works Union and its members. We went over to the Public Works Yard and we went over the details of the classification and compensation study. Classification questionnaires were handed out and the employees were given the opportunity to ask questions and provide any comments or concerns. We immediately realized that it was actually going to take more time just because the questionnaire is very lengthy. It's about 20 to 21 pages long, and there were a lot of questions asked. And so we decided that we were going to schedule one-on-one meetings with the employees. This was on March 11th. The meetings were supposed to happen towards the end of March. And then the whole COVID-19 pandemic situation occurred. So we had to put that project on hold. Now, due to the current COVID-19 challenges and our HR and payroll munis implementation in July of 2020, a determination has been made that in order to successfully complete this classification and compensation study in a timely manner, the best course of action is to retain a professional firm such as Coffin Associates. This firm specializes in these types of studies. So typically, these types of firms may have, special software where it takes them less time. They have the expertise. This is what they focus on, and so it's much faster for them to do it versus if HR takes care of it. It's a very complex study. So initially HR was going to take it on. However, we've already lost a couple months due to this COVID-19 situation. So Coffin Associates, at the request of city staff, they submitted a proposal, and the total amount of the proposal is $28,950, which includes a comprehensive classification and compensation study for 9 positions recognized by the Public Works Union and 2 non-represented management positions, which is for the HR manager and project manager analyst. Per the city manager's request, the 2 management positions were included to evaluate the functions, roles, and responsibilities of those classifications and current market value. Like Gabriel mentioned earlier, there is no fiscal impact. We do not need a budget amendment as we have enough funds in the professional service account budgets within 8 various public works accounts, and then the human resources and city manager accounts. So at this time, I recommend that council authorize the execution of the professional services agreement with Coffin Associates, and I'm available for any questions that council may have.
All right. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor, if I may, just a couple of comments on that. As HR Director Chavolla has indicated, this is a very complex analysis in the study. It's not as simple as calling comparable cities and asking them, what do you pay for this position or for that position? There's a lot more computations and calculations involved in determining the appropriate market for these positions. I've done a couple of these in my past cities, and I can tell you from experience that these are very complex. And a lot of detailed information goes in, and as Mrs. Chavolla said, that a lot of these firms have proprietary software that they utilize to conduct such reports. I'll also like to add that simply by having the study conducted does not obligate the city into agreeing to any of these new market compensation levels. You as a city council at a policy level, as part of the meet and confer process with SEIU, when we're negotiating, we'll have an opportunity to weigh in and set what that compensation is given on the market study from this report. So this is simply an analysis to initiate those discussions. But I just wanted to point out and reiterate that the city is not bound to say that this is what we're going to pay simply because of this analysis being conducted. We will negotiate any of these items as part of the meet and confer process with SEIU, the next round of negotiations. So I think there's importance to just point that out for you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna open it up for council. Is there any questions from council?
So I have one. Is this really something we should proceed with based on the current situation at hand? I mean, should this wait for both parties, for the respect of both parties? Wouldn't it be better for everyone in the long run to wait this out?
So my understanding is that the current MOU, and Mr. Chavolla can correct me on this, my understanding is that the city and the union have agreed to this. The union also has an interest, and SEIU is the one who inquired on the city's part if we were going to conduct this study. Again, simply conducting the study doesn't obligate us to whatever the new market rate is for these positions. So that will be part of the meet confer. But what you're referring to is whether we should wait for the expense, whether we should wait as to whether we incur the expenditure for the 30,000. I mean, that would be more specific if that's the question versus having a study and then going through the meet confer process.
Yeah, I just don't see that now is the right time to do the study. And I guess if we're going to be fair with both the union and ourselves, it's going to be quite difficult. You're going to do a study based on something that happened. You know, they're going to use past data, so something that happened last year, and we're going to be doing something very different within the next 6 months to a year. You don't know what that looks like. So, you know, are we really going to get the correct information handed down to us to make a good decision on this? Is that going to be the decision that we should be looking at? Or are we going to have to go back and do the study again because something's going to change drastically within the next 6 months? That's the only reason I'm asking the question. You're going to spend the money in doing it. I understand that, but are we going to end up having to spend the
So these studies look into total compensation. They look at wages. They look at the benefits in terms of the breakdown of what each benefit that an employer may provide. So whether it's medical, dental, and they look at total compensation versus just the wages and salary. So of what you're describing, in terms of the economic state, you're right, that we're in a different situation today. But that doesn't mean that that these positions on the market are going to change from what they pay. Employers may institute furloughs that they're able to negotiate with unions. They may institute reduction in pay, like the state is doing, of 10%. But the salary and benefits in terms of total compensation doesn't change. The employee will either pay more or they'll receive less of a benefit, as like when they deal with furloughs or pay cuts. But the base salary will remain the same. So if an employee is making $5,000 a month and take a 10% cut, what's about $500 that they're going to take a pay cut from, but the base salary is still $5,000 per month. So this study doesn't account for the furloughs or pay cuts that may be instituted by employers while we're going through this economic state. They'll look at the total base compensation and benefits that the market is currently paying for these positions.
I have a comment.
Okay, Kathy? I'm sorry, Councilmember Proud?
That's right. Well, as you know, Gabriel, you and I both had discussion yesterday on this topic because I didn't want to see us spending this $30,000 at this time. And I believe if you call the union in and you explain to them the situation that we're in, we can delay spending this $30,000 because I understand the complexity of doing the study. And I'm accepting the fact that it's going to cost that amount of money. I would just rather delay it and not have to put the money out at this point until we see what's actually happening. Because we can take care of the employees. I mean, like we've done every year, everyone's going to be treated equally. And so I want to see us delay the study by calling the union in and just telling them that this is not a good time to get involved in it.
Any other council member? I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, City Manager, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Councilmember Proud, Mayor and Council, something that for us to account for is that, yes, we're in a certain economic state presently because of the COVID-19. There are still some business matters that we have to continue to conduct as part of our normal business. And our financial situation, as you've heard from our budget consultant and from staff, is that we're not in a dire financial situation. We're still very strong in the financial crisis, in spite of the financial crisis. And these are monies that are within our existing budget that we're not asking for a budget amendment. So these are monies that are currently appropriate in this year's budget that have been unspent. So the expenditure itself is not incurring the drawdown of unassigned fund balance or a budget amendment. Rather, we were able to find the monies within the existing budget of monies that were already appropriated that we feel comfortable are within the budget and can be incurred. You know, the reality of our situation is that, yes, the COVID-19 crisis has created a certain state in the economy, but with whatever we can afford, and I believe that this is something that we can afford, is that we still have to continue to conduct business as we normally would under circumstances. Yes, we negotiate in good faith with our labor groups, and the city has been very generous in the benefits and compensation provided. But this study goes beyond simply looking at COLAs or cost of living increases. This looks at each position in terms of the roles and responsibilities, and it aligns it with the market. And based on that roles and responsibilities for each of these positions is how they then compute what is that market wages and benefits for the roles and responsibilities of each of these positions. So it's not simply looking at it for cost of living adjustments like we do as part of the labor negotiations that we do at the table. It's looking at the market analysis based on the roles and responsibilities of each of these positions. That in itself won't change regardless of the situation of whether we're under COVID-19 or not. Our employees will continue to perform those roles and responsibilities, but it's going to align them with what they're actually doing. And what you oftentimes find is that an employee is doing a greater amount of responsibility in that position that may require them to be in a higher classification, and or the classification may be of a higher level, yet the roles and responsibilities of which they're conducting their daily jobs may be at a lower level. So it aligns that position to what the roles and responsibilities are along with the market rate.
I think anytime after the beginning of the next year, if we see in the next second quarter, third quarter revenues, and as well as the expenses that are going to come along the way, we can always institute that study at that time. I'm sorry, I'm not going to support it at this time. I think we need to wait.
Okay.
Okay. Councilmember Garcia.
Personally, you know, we've always let, you know, staff guide us in the right direction. And Miss Chavolla, or the human resource lady, the young lady, I'm sorry, I don't remember her last name. I think it's Chavolla. And if, you know, the manager thinks this is the way we ought to go, I make a motion to, you know, go ahead and go with the professional service agreement. That's just my opinion. I think that, thank God, and that we have, you know, money for this kind of stuff. There's times, you know, we approve $1 million, $500,000. So I think 30,000 is not much to speak of. So that's just what I feel.
Okay, thank you. Any other council member wish to?
Yeah, hey, I got something.
Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, at this time, given the situation, I think this needs needs to be scrapped, but needs to be tabled for another day. This is my opinion as well. I think we need to be careful with our resources and what we have. It is a tough time. It's a very tough time. When people are getting laid off, people taking pay cuts. I myself, being a state employee, we're facing that as well at the state level. And there's a lot of people that are facing bad times, and I feel for them. I pray for them as well. And I think at this time we need to like I said, not do away with it, but postpone it for a later date and see where we're at that point. Count our nickels there then, and then we can make a better judgment. That's just my personal opinion. That's just me speaking.
And I'll echo that, because I agree with you, Cesar. I don't think any of us are saying we don't want to do it. I think it's going to be best to table it, and in that table, maybe 3 months, 6 months, whatever it may be. I think in the long run, it's going to benefit both parties, because we will have a lot better information. And again, had this situation not arose, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and this would be a rather easy vote. But based on the current conditions and what's happening, I think it's smart on both parties to hold off. Now, what that time looks like, I don't know. 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, 1 week, I don't know. I just think it needs to hold off until we can get some stability in it.
Yeah, it's too much uncertainty at this point. That's
Yeah.
the problem, you know. But like I said, I was one of the main ones that wanted to see the study, because I want our employees to get compensated properly, you know. And I think they deserve it. All public employees, all our employees do such a great job, and I would like to compensate properly. But as of right now, I think we should just table it and then relook at it later on the line.
I would hope that we continue to keep our employees too. We don't want to lose them.
Absolutely.
I make the motion that we not go along with the study.
I'll second that.
All right, I just had some couple comments here on this study. Have we ever done a study this type? We have? Okay.
I think so. I know we did them by hand. Carol could even verify that, but we've gotten professional ones before. And I agree,
Well,
it'll be a good study, but then we're not even obligated to do it. I just think we need to wait.
So Carol, have we done studies like this, Carol, for Public Works?
So I know they were done in the past, not specific to Public Works, but it wasn't a compensation study. It was just a classification where they redid all the job descriptions. This was maybe back in 2014, maybe.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you years.
And
it was under different management, so I'm not really sure of the details. I just know that they did do one, and it was not a compensation study, it was a classification.
Right.
Okay. I remember us having some type of like maybe it would be considered classification where we just get the local cities or cities that are in our type of make of ours and get what they're paying. Is that was like the way we used to do it, right? Or that's the way we do it?
So typically when we do the labor negotiations, I go out and gather information from the various public agencies and kind of compare. But this is a more complex study, which I was willing to take on. However, due to this, current situation, I've already lost a couple months to where I will not be able to have it complete in a timely manner. It's too much work. And then I also have the Munis project, which we're scheduled to go live on July 1st with the Munis and ExecuTime. So that's another huge project there that I'm focused on right now.
I just have one last.
Oh, go ahead.
Just my last question is, so in order for us to be able to apply this, what will be the last time or last period? Will be like the cutoff for us to be able to exercise this classification and compensation study?
So if we want to go with using it for the fall labor negotiations, we would need to start the study now, because typically Coffin Associates indicates that it's 3 to 4 month project. So if they get started on it now, it would be done by September, ready for the labor negotiations. So if it doesn't get started now, then it won't be ready by then.
Okay, just let me add one more to that last piece there. If I don't know how long you're let's say you're tied up with another project, if you would have to do this study, would you need the same amount of time, or you probably need more, huh?
I would say maybe about 6 months, just because I
Okay.
have other HR matters that I deal
Okay.
with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Well,
you. Thank
just
you.
quick comment. There's also the complexity of the analysis involved with the study.
Okay.
Mayor,
Okay.
I'm gonna, if I may, if this matter is gonna be tabled for a future date, I'll agendize an item for closed session under labor negotiations, so we can talk about a response back to SEIU because this is part of the current MOU, and so we need to talk about the response to the union in closed session, since it is a labor negotiations item. So I'll agendize for a future council meeting for us to have that conversation.
Okay, so we're gonna, okay, so I guess the motion now is to
Delay,
table
yes.
for the future, in the future. Okay.
Yeah, Kathy had the motion, I had the second.
Okay,
We
so
have we have a motion by Councilmember Proud and second by Councilmember Givens to table.
okay,
this item.
Councilmember Prout,
No, well, let's see.
to
Yes,
table,
to table.
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes, to table.
and Alvarado.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Now moving on to the budget let's see here. Management report number 2, budget preparation consulting service, William and Statler.
Certainly, Mayor and Council, this agreement was for work that's already begun related to the budget. As we all know, the former Administrative Services Director resigned a couple months ago, leaving the position vacant. It left a major void in the finance department, and that there was a director available to begin the budget process. Our finance manager is in the acting role, and in the past, however, was not involved in the budget process, not because of her doing, but simply because of the former structure of how the budget was prepared under 1 or 2 people being the former finance director. So that being the case, and us needing to have a budget prepared in time for the June 1st charter requirement, I found myself necessary to bring an outside municipal finance expert in the field to join the organization on a consulting basis. You've all had an opportunity to have had Mr. Statler make our budget presentations in the last month or so. Work is well underway, and we are doing the work that normally takes 4 to 5 months, compressed down to 4 weeks. And so our staff's working very diligent, and with Mr. Statler taking the lead on the budget preparation. And so I am requesting and making a recommendation to enter into the agreement with Mr. Statler in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for the budget preparation, and a fixed fee of $1,975 for the fiscal policy and implementation. The monies for this will be coming from the salary savings for the vacant administrative services position. And there is a line item transfer of $58,000 from the salaries down to professional services. So this is all within the existing budget amount that is available to pay for this. We are not, the alternative is to reject the budget consultant, but if you rejected, we won't have a preliminary budget come June 1st, as we do not have the staff or organizational capacity to complete that task. As I said, we're doing the work that normally takes 4 to 5 months in 4 weeks or less. So I am recommending the City Council approve a professional services agreement with Mr. Statler for the budget preparation and budget fiscal implementation consulting services, and to authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
I'll make motion to approve the consultation services by William C. Statler.
I have a question before we go into motion.
All right, okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Garcia, and any questions from council members?
I do. Yes. Can we talk?
Yes.
So, real quick, Gabriel, fully understand that it's a rough situation not having Jim. I was reading through the agreement that we've got set up with him, Mr. Statler. I don't see anywhere that that has any request for work during the audit. I think the PUN group is still with us and they should be doing the audit for the coming year. Is this going to include any audit time that he would spend with budget preparation or past budget review? Or is this only for budget prep and we're going to find someone else to work with us for the audit? I just don't know if we're going to bring in a finance director in time for the audit, and I was just curious about that.
Yeah, Councilmember Givens, Mayor and Council, good question. To answer your question specifically, this contract contract for consulting services is solely for the budget preparation document itself. Our finance manager and I have been in discussions of looking for other consulting services to assist her with other tasks within the finance department, as well as the audit. We have a couple months with the audit, and even though the fiscal year ends June 30th, we don't actually start audit work to possibly August, September timeframe, simply because we wait to close our books till July. And so we will be bringing on outside year-end accounting services to help our finance manager with the audit work itself. That'll be separate work. I did ask Mr. Statler about his availability, but he doesn't do a lot of the accounting anymore as much as he does budget work. And so we will be bringing some outside assistance for our finance manager for the audit work itself. Independent of the independent auditors, there'll still be some accounting assistance services that we'll need to close our year-end books and do the reconciliation and tie out our books and prepare them for audit purposes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't know if we were going to try to use them for both or not. Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome.
So I have a question.
Councilmember Prout?
Yeah, I have a question. Are you asking for 25,000 or are you asking for 58,000?
No, the consulting agreement is not to exceed 25. So 25,000 is the cap. 58,000 represents the salary savings for the vacant position of salaries from the vacant administrative services director position. I'm basically going to transfer that 58,000 to professional services within the existing budget itself.
Okay, so we will approve the 25,000.
Yeah, up to 25, correct.
How many hours, and does he have anybody else that's helping him?
No, he's basically a sole proprietor. I put a budget team of external municipal finance consultants and a couple other consultants that are assisting them both on the technical and budget. I've brought on board. Those agreements are of less than $10,000, so it's in the city manager's threshold. This exceeds the 10,000, as if you see Mr. Stratler has taken the lead on the budget preparation process itself. So I've had to assemble, as I've shared with council, an external budget team in order to get the budget done, because as you've heard in the past, our finance staff doesn't have the capacity nor the institutional knowledge for preparing the book or to assist with the preparation of the budget. No fault of theirs. It's just the practice that was in place in the past here in the organization. And so an external budget team was what I had to assemble in order to get this done in the 4-week timeframe.
Councilmember Prout?
I'm finished.
Okay. Any other council member?
No, I'll second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilmember Garcia and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Councilmember Prout,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
and Alvarado.
Yes. Moving on to item 3, groundwater sustainability plans implementation memorandum of understanding.
Sure, Mayor Council, I'm going to defer to our Public Works Director, Mr. James, to provide the background on this. This is a project that's been in the works, and it is a mandate by the state for us to comply with groundwater sustainability plan implementation. And so, Mr. James, go ahead. Mike, you on the call? Yasmina, is he still on?
Yes, he's on the call. Let me see if I can unmute him. Mike, are you there?
Yes, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry about that, everyone. I'm having some technical difficulties on my end. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. Okay,
Yes.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shasta City Council. The State of California Sustainable Groundwater Management Act was made into law several years ago. It requires that all groundwater basins be sustainable, which basically means you can't pump more than Mother Nature or water replenishment project provide by the year 2040. So earlier this year, groundwater sustainability plans had to be submitted to the state to detail how the basins would be sustainable within the next 20 years. Shafter's groundwater sustainability plan was coordinated and prepared within the Kern Groundwater Authority, or the KGA. KGA covers Kern County, basically west of the Sierra and the Tehachapi Mountains, with the exception of Metro Bakersfield, which is covered by another agency. Chapter is one of 19 voting members of the KGA, with Councilmember Gibbons serving as the city's primary board rep. Within the GSP, the city of Shafter, city of Wasco, Shafter Wasco Irrigation District, North Kern Water Storage District, all collaborated on one management area chapter of the GSP. And the chapter was prepared through a cooperative agreement that was executed amongst these agencies. So all GSP chapters of the KGA were adopted by the KGA and submitted to the state by the January 2020 deadline. Frankly, the amount of time that was allowed to prepare the GSP was less than ideal. But then again, missing the deadline could have subjected the entire county to state probation, which could entail the state preparing the GSP on behalf of the county, which, you know, there's a lot of disagreement amongst the KGA members, but that's one thing that they all agree on, is that they need to minimize the state's influence on our plan. Nonetheless, the Public Works Director and the Public Works Department and the City Attorney feel as if another agreement within our management area partners is warranted to clarify some issues and objectives of the GSP. The agreement before the council tonight is a memorandum of understanding. It was prepared by the City Attorney. The main objective, or the main objectives, is to affirm the water rights of both the cities of Wasco and Shafter, and also commit our chapter to preventing further water quality degradation. And the contaminants of concern for our management area are, no surprises here, TCP, nitrates, and arsenic. So the MOU included in your agenda packet has already been distributed to the city of Wasco, Swid, and North Kern. And the plan is to have all of their governing boards, including the council tonight, approve the MOU and execute it by the end of the month. If we're unsuccessful at getting the MOU fully executed, then Public Works might feel compelled to submit a GSP comment letter directly to the state to highlight the city's concerns. And these public comments are due to the state by the end of this month. So for tonight's meeting, staff is requesting that the council approve the MOU and potential updates to it, subject to the city attorney's approval, and then finally authorize either the city manager or Public Works Director to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'll go ahead and make a recommendation. Oh, we approve the groundwater sustainability plan implementation memorandum of understanding.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Garcia. Is there any questions from council? Was there any questions? Seeing none? All right, can I get a second?
I'll make a second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Garcia and a second by Councilmember Givens.
Councilmember Givens,
Aye.
Prout,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
and Alvarado.
Yes. Moving on to number 4, roundabout intersection project status and options.
Certainly, Mayor and Council, this is a item that the city has been working for quite some time with both Caltrans with regards to the proposed roundabout project. Tonight, we are seeking discussion and direction from you as we do have somewhat of a timeline to respond back to Caltrans so that they can begin work on this project. So this is an opportunity for you as a council at a policy level to weigh in and get informed of what the details of the project consist of, implications of certain aspects of the project, and then to provide us direction at a policy level so that we can notify Caltrans as to their work and moving forward with it. Our Public Works Director, Mike James, will provide you the additional background. So with that, Mike.
Yes, thank you, sir. Honorable Mayor, members of the Shasta City Council, as the city manager introduced, Public Works and Caltrans have been developing conceptual plans and funding strategies for a roundabout where Santa Fe Way and Highway 43 split. For now, the funding plan that we're focused on consists of the city covering the engineering and right-of-way costs valued at about $4 million combined, and Caltrans covering the cost of the construction, which is ranging from $6 to $8 million based on some recent roundabout projects that they have constructed. Public Works recently secured up to $1.3 million in federal funding for the engineering side of the project, and we might be in a position to put that money into use as early as this summer. There will be $200,000 in local matching to make that project happen, and that'll be likely coming from our typical road improvement funding sources, not the general fund. Before we proceed, we're here tonight to establish concurrence, hopefully, on the final roundabout layout. And that if the council can refer to the conceptual drawings that I think have been provided with their staff report, I'd like to start off with the five-legged intersection, as we like to call it, which consists of the roundabout facilitating all existing intersection legs that connect to the current intersection. And the 5 legs are basically 43 north of the intersection, 43 south of the intersection, Los Angeles Avenue, Beach Avenue, and Santa Fe Way. This has been planned up until the first part of this year. Recently, Caltrans, as the lead engineer, expressed concern about maintaining the Beach Avenue connection, and are now suggesting the 4-legged intersection. And their thinking at this time is with the high-speed rail project as currently designed, is calling out for Beach to close anyway with the raised track configuration. And even if high-speed rail doesn't happen, keeping Beach open would likely require signalization for all 5 legs of the roundabout based on some recent guidance provided by the California Public Utility Commission for a comparable project where there's a at-grade rail crossing immediately next to a roundabout. The signalization, Caltrans estimates, would add $1 million to the project, and staff concurs with that estimate. But most importantly, the signal would have to stop all directions of traffic when trains arrive at the intersection, which to ensure that Beach traffic is able to drive through the roundabout and not be held up by cross traffic, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a roundabout, and it's even counterproductive. Within the last week, Public Works recently hosted a conference call with the city manager, the California Public Utility Commission, and Caltrans, where it was confirmed by the CPUC that keeping Beach Avenue would likely require signals and a lot of scrutiny that would increase the cost and reduce the cost effectiveness of the project. And it may even prompt Caltrans to withdraw from the current project partnership that has been formed up until now. So Caltrans would like to know as soon as possible if the city will accept the 4-legged roundabout which is why this is on tonight's agenda. So it's important to stress that Beach Avenue, even though the current four-legged intersection calls for it to be closed, will not be closed until either the high-speed rail project or the roundabout project requires the closure, meaning not until either of those projects break ground. And the high-speed rail and roundabout, it sounds as if it are pretty much on the same schedule for commencement, which is within no sooner than 3 years from now, which gives staff and Caltrans time to prepare for traffic mitigation, to prepare for the loss of Beach Avenue. Finally, it's also important to point out that high-speed rail has committed funding traffic mitigation projects to compensate for losing Beach. We're talking about improvements to Los Angeles Avenue, Golds Avenue, and Cherry Avenue, all combined valued at $5 million. So speaking on behalf of Public Works, the four-legged intersection is the recommended outcome based on what we know now and what we foresee ahead. And if the council is okay with the roundabout intersection without Beach, then a cooperative agreement with Caltrans to proceed with the preliminary engineering work could be on your June 2nd, be on your agenda as soon as June 2nd. So I'm sure the city manager might have some additional input or perspective on this, but we're basically here tonight to get council determination on whether to accept the roundabout layout without Beach, provided it remains open until either the high-speed rail or roundabout construction warrants its closure, or directing staff to continue working with Caltrans on options to keep Beach in the project. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. James. Thank you very much for that presentation. City Manager Gonzalez.
Yeah, certainly. I think everything Mike has said is a lot of work that's been worked on. There's multiple agencies involved in this project. I think something that we are cognizant of is that high-speed rail is under construction. We know they're building in Wasco and throughout the Central Valley. We know that high-speed rail is going to complete the Central Valley segment from Bakersfield to Merced. And so that work is most likely to get completed. Whether they complete phase 2 and 3, which is phase 2 from San Francisco to Gilroy and Gilroy over to Merced, is yet to be determined, given the fact that the business plan released by High Speed Rail still identifies approximately 70 or 90 billion dollars in funding needed in order to complete those two segments. So the Central Valley is my understanding that they have funded and received funds for, and they're under construction to complete this segment. So what that has to do with this particular project is that Beach would eventually be closed because of the construction of high-speed rail along that. But as Director James has indicated, Beach would not close until a couple years out. And so it would remain as part of our anticipation of the closure of Beach. We would be doing a traffic study to look at our master traffic circulation plan to be able to identify those traffic flows once Beach Street closes and look at the traffic circulation around that area. So at this point, we'd like to get some council direction at a policy level, as Director James has indicated, if this is acceptable to go with the four-legged roundabout.
Okay. Let me ask council, is there any questions from council?
I have a question.
Okay. Councilmember Prout?
It probably isn't always a question. It's really some comments that I have. And as you know, we struggle. I struggle independently, and I know others are struggling too with the fact that is it ever going to be built? And we keep seeing the cost going up, and I'm not too sure that we will see it come through Shafter. Right now, it's only planned to stop at Poplar. And we have, the only thing that I see good about it is we have people at work in the state, and they do patchwork. they have a little bit here, and then you go miles, and then you have another little bit, and then you go miles, and there's another little bit. So in the end, you really wonder when this thing is actually going to happen and who's going to pay for it, because if it just goes through the valley, I believe that you're going to have very few people that are going to ride from Bakersfield to Merced. So it really kind of seems like a boondoggle to me. If it is the best thing to go with a four-legged at this point, that's fine with me. But, you know, if down the road there's a stop to it, is there a possibility that we could put in the fifth leg and still give some advantages when we see what beach is going to have? I mean, a lot of people use beach. And so I wonder down the road when this high-speed rail doesn't materialize, then we put ourselves in trouble because we didn't add beach.
I've got a question as well. If you're good, Kathy. Mike, what is this? What is this going to do to Lerdo? Because I do know that Shafter High and Sequoia, and there's a handful of others who will use that roadway to get over to Lerdo from Los Angeles, going over to 99. What are we doing a traffic study for any of that? Because it just feels like you're going to overly congest Lerdo, especially that Lerdo to Mantle turn on. Because once you get to that point, no one's going to take you, Lerdo to Beach to Shafter High. It's pretty much going to go Lerdo to Mantle. So are we doing anything to address, if this leg is gone, what are we doing with Lerdo?
Mike, you want to field that question?
Hey, got any
Sure.
thoughts?
Public Works isn't doing anything specific to Lerdo. I mean, one of the reasons why we were advocating for a coordinated effort with Caltrans is because anything that they do to Beach is certainly going to impact Lerdo, and even the high-speed rail project. It's going to impact all 3 or 4 crossings that come through the core city. So no, we have not. Public Works has not done anything specific to Lerdo. I think we're in the very early stages of the preliminary engineering of the beach, the roundabout itself. So, and then we're looking at least 2 or 3 years to develop those studies. And then, within that 2 or 3 years, I'm hoping we could address not only Lerdo, but Cherry. There's some efforts underway with a wonderful company to invest in the Cherry crossing, perhaps an overpass, underpass. So to answer your question, no, but there should be opportunities in the immediate future.
At the very least, if we're going to go in and have this discussion with Caltrans and ask them, okay, we'll give you that fifth leg, we'll take it away, so you only have 4 legs on the roundabout, and that works for the high-speed rail. However, in doing so, if we're going to give that up, we need them to review and look at what's going to happen on Lerdo. So when I use the when specifically, when this roundabout and or high-speed rail comes in, that's not going to happen unless we can look at what's happening over on Lerdo. Because we continually grow in the city, which is great. And that is a very high congested area anyway. And I'd hate to make that even worse and start having some serious congestion issues now that we've closed off the beach. So if at least we get that conversation as we move down this road, I don't mind it as long as we're addressing the other intersections concurrently.
Certainly, we have communicated that concern to them already, and short term and long term, and it's still that intersection at Lerdo and 43 is their intersection too. So certainly we'll be engaged once this project moves into the preliminary engineering phase.
Okay. Okay. Michael, is this like the one over there, like going out to Buena Vista off of 7th Standard, and there's 2 of them, one on 7th Standard, or I think it might be Stockdale Highway, and the other one's on 119. Is that correct?
There's 2 that they built within the last year. It's 119 and 43, and 43 and Stockdale Highway. They were almost built at the same time. Yeah, and this is kind of the same configuration. The legs of the street legs that are coming in at different angles makes this a little bit unique and a little more challenging, and quite frankly, the right of way and everything else that comes with it is going to probably makes it a little more expensive and a little more involved as far as the engineering work goes, but this is pretty comparable to what those recent projects, how they were built.
Yeah, I just want to add that, this is just my opinion. My son, we go fishing quite a bit at Buena Vista, and we've been going out there for the last 15 years. And the way they're structured now, it's the best way. It's awesome. It's easy. It's safe. It makes people slow down, and you go around them at a real nice pace. And I think they look great. I think it's first class. So I'm really, I'm glad that we're doing, that real similar project here. Like I said, I think it's awesome.
Thank you, Councilmember Garcia. Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
Mine's more of a comment than anything else. It's just personal. As much as I dislike high-speed rail, that's my own personal opinion. I think it's been forced upon us by the voters of the state of California, and there's nothing we can do about that. And it's going to proceed whether we like it or not. But I think this roundabout project is a great project for the community and traffic going through. I hate to lose Beach Avenue. I would hate to lose it. But if high-speed rail is going to take it, they're going to take it regardless, just like all the other rest of the land that you see from here all the way through Delano and Wasco. But the four-legged project, that's okay with me as well.
I just have a question. I have a question for Chief. If Chief Zimmerman, are you there?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'm here.
How do you see this, Chief, as far as, first responder? Just a question. Would it be more challenging not having beach? I'm assuming it would be, but.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it will be more challenging, but it falls into the category, in my view, of, it's something that we're currently used to. But if it's not there, we're going to adjust, as will all of the other first responders. We'll adjust accordingly, and it'll be fine.
Okay.
Gilbert, or I'm sorry, Honorable Mayor, I just, like I said, I mean, I've used that four-legged deal quite a bit over there going that way, and it's smooth. It's great. It looks good. I just, regardless if the high-speed rail gets you or not, to be honest with you, we need it, because that intersection is a joke. You got cars all the way back up to like Del Taco, sometimes way back there. This way, you don't stop on this four-legged road. You just go in a nice smooth pace. And I recommend everybody drives out to Buena Vista just so they can experience it. And you'll experience two of them on your way up and two of them on your way back. And before we would see accidents here and there. Now that we've gone, we haven't seen any accidents. So I think it works. It's just the way Caltrans engineered it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Caltrans. I don't know anybody that works for them, so I'm not trying to hype them up. In fact, I don't think they do even a good job for some of the roads around here. But at the end of the day, that particular project, that's a first-class deal. So.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Garcia. And, it is unfortunate that we got to make a decision. And I think if we pass this up, we might catch ourselves paying for the whole thing ourselves. So right now that we have partners and those that want to be part of this, and I think it's something good for our community. So
I have one other comment.
Yes, Councilmember.
I hope you didn't feel that I was opposed to it, because even when I served on COG for so many years back, that we first started talking about this, and Caltrans was eager to consider us for a roundabout, that I certainly have been very supportive and push for it. So I mean, I'm not saying that I not support it. I was just wondering about doing the 5-leg instead of just the 4-leg. But I think even 3 years is too long to have to wait, because we've dealt with it for so many years.
Mm-hmm. So, okay.
I'll make the motion. We approve this.
I'll second it.
This is for the 4-leg, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilmember Prout, second by Councilmember Garcia for the 4-leg roundabout.
Councilmember Prout,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Lopez, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
I'm sorry, yes.
I love it. Oh, you're right.
and Alvarado.
Yes. Yes, thank you. We're moving on to city managers' comments and reports.
Mayor, really quick, before I give any comments, I just want to reiterate a couple of comments, follow up to the previous item regarding the runabout. Councilmember Givens asked us to follow up with Caltrans about impacts to Lerdo Highway in terms of the traffic circulation with the closure of Beach. So we will follow up on that. And then to Councilmember Proud's comment about if high-speed rail does not build or construct this segment of rail, can we keep Beach open? So those are the follow-up questions, comments I made a note of. We will follow up, and under a separate report, we provide a response to you after Mike's had a chance to follow up with appropriate agencies, both high-speed rail and Caltrans, with a response from them. Okay?
All right, thank you very much. And
Mayor, a couple of things from me is I sent you an email yesterday with just a few items updating you. I've had staff working in terms of identifying logistics to conduct in-person city council meetings. Now, let me expand a little bit on that. In-person meaning for you as a council to be able to meet while still complying with safety measures of social distancing, the minimum 6 feet requirement, and also complying with the no more than 10 individuals in a crowd gathering. And so this would basically, instead of doing a Zoom meeting, would possibly allow the 5 of you, our city clerk, myself, our city attorney, to be in the same room, complying with social distancing, and still have our meeting video live streamed on YouTube. The public, however, would still be limited to providing public comment or participating via Zoom and calling in as we do right now. But this would provide that opportunity for you to meet in person. This might be more feasible, especially as we get into the budget presentation and we have more PowerPoint presentations and more information on the budget itself. So we're going to propose to do a test run, and I'm going to ask if you might be available next week for a study session so that myself and staff can present to you our return to work protocols. This would be an opportunity for us to present to you our protocols in anticipation of City Hall and other city services that have been deemed as non-essential functions as we prepare to reopen based on the governor's action. As we know that almost weekly he is lifting the restrictions. And so we have put protocols in place and drafted procedures so that our employees can adhere to these once we resume business. I will tell you that our resuming business is going to be a new norm. It will not be what it was before COVID-19. We've had to identify new methods of our service delivery models. And so that will present some maybe inconvenience for our residents, our customers, in that they may not be able to come in and have a lobby full of people. Just like other places, it may be limited to the number of people that come inside City Hall to conduct business so that we adhere to the social distancing. But we want to have an opportunity to present that to you. So I'll have our city clerk send out an email and poll you to see if next Wednesday is feasible for you. And we would do a test run of this in-person council meeting at the police department's conference room. But this is again in terms of trying to be efficient and effective in having these meetings. Today, David sent to you, without our knowledge, Bakersfield College sent out a news article, a press release that talked about the city of Shafter providing incentives to high school graduates. That was provided to you as an informational item. As I said, neither myself or David were given advance notice that this press release was going to be issued, but there might be others that follow on that. I also like to, and our planning director has okayed his permission. He's a year away from retirement. Our very own Wayne Coughlin has notified me that he plans to retire May 29th of 2021. I appreciate his advance notice with a 1-year time frame so that we can plan succession planning. He said he's enjoyed, his biggest reward has been being employed by the city of Shafter. And he would just like to, when his date comes, go off into the sunset and enjoy retirement. So just wanted to let you know that that announcement's been made by our planning director, and I will work with him for future succession planning on that. And with regards to the item for the drive-in movie night, we will follow up with Public Health Department. I know that they had other inquiries, both for like the drive-in church services. They may have some guidance. And so I'll provide that information back to council and maybe reach out to the chamber. We've recently done some collaborative joint work on the business survey for our local businesses. And so there's already there that collaborative partnership, and see they're interested in being involved in that effort. And with that, that concludes my report to you.
Okay, is there any departments, comments, and reports?
The Honorable Mayor,
Yes,
Chief Zimmerman.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, mine's going to be very quick. I just want to let you and the council know that I've had a couple of officers cycle through the field training program, so you might see a couple of extra patrol vehicles out there. I still have 2 more progressing nicely through their training program, and they should be off in short order. Still recruiting for a couple of positions, and we're still out there doing it. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much for that. I did notice something on Facebook that Shafter PD was in Wasco.
Yes, sir. That was a very good kick.
Someone's got to clean Moscow up.
Oh,
Well, all right, well, thank you very much for that. Any other departments? I don't see any.
This is Michael James of the Public Works. If I have a second there, I'd like to brief you on a few things relating to Public Works. On the topic of water conservation, for the past month of April, the city produced 40% less water compared to the base year in 2013 that the state uses for comparative purposes. So we obviously had some influence with wet weather, but perhaps some additional influence by the stay-at-home order. I was frankly expecting it to be seeing higher than normal water use, but the math is suggesting we used 40% less water for the past month of April. I believe the city manager updated you or forwarded an email from me regarding the Corporation Yard relocation, but just to reiterate, majority of the Public Works operations should be moved to Commerce Way by June. At that point, we'll be left with the fleet maintenance building or the shop and the dial-a-ride operations. We received proposals last week to convert one existing Commerce Way building into the new shop facility, and I'll have some results and recommendations for you as early as your June 2nd meeting. And we're working to relocate the dial-a-ride charging station, and there'll be 2 new vehicles. We should have that operation completely functional at the new facility by this fall. And then finally, for the Lerdo guardrail project, some of you might have noticed that work commenced yesterday. It is progressing really well. I think the contractor is shooting for an output of 2,000 feet a day of guardrail installation, which suggests that we'll be substantially complete with the project within the next 30 days. So with that, that concludes comments by Public Works.
Thank you very much for that. All right, seeing any other department?
Can I ask a question real quick to Michael James?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to know, how's that other part of James going, Michael?
We had I believe we had a pre-bid meeting yesterday, or even it was today, excuse me. We had a pre-bid meeting today. So we should have some bid results for you next month, along with a more precise construction schedule. We're trying to get as much done this summer as possible.
Yeah, with the being that the businesses are a little bit shut down and the schools, yeah, that'd be great. Well, thank you.
Okay, all right. So can I get a motion to enter into recess?
Make a motion to recess into closed session.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Givens and second by by Councilmember Garcia. And the items on the closed sessions, number 1 is threat to public service. Number 2 is conference with labor negotiators. Number 3 is conference with real property negotiators. And 4 is as well. And number 5 is as well. Conference with real property negotiators. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We're now in closed session.
Okay, if you will
We are
bear with,
recessed.
sorry about that. If you will bear with me, I will put you in the room and you will receive a notification to join the breakout room. So you just accept, please.
Are you there, Yasmina?
Hi, Bob. Yes, I'm here. So I will put you in the room when they are ready for you.
Got it.
Okay?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
You're sending me to my room then, huh?
Yes, but this is still on YouTube. So I believe we're just waiting on Councilmember Prout to join.
Okay. There she is. I think.
Mayor, if you like, I can report out from closed session.
Would you please, sir?
Absolutely. Thank you. Earlier today, the City Council of the City of Shafter recessed into closed session. The items are listed on page 3 and 4 of the regular meeting agenda. There were 5 items on tonight's agenda, and all council members were present. The first item was threat to public services concerning impacts to public facilities and services. With respect to that item, we have no reportable action. City Council heard a presentation from its city manager and city attorney regarding some of the issues relating to that threat from the COVID-19 virus. Second item, conference with labor negotiators concerning the groups listed on the agenda. City Council heard a presentation from its labor negotiation team, and we have they provided direction, and we have no further reportable action. Items 3, 4, and 5 related to real property negotiations concerning the properties listed on the agenda. On each of those items, the City Council heard presentations from its real property negotiators, in some cases concerning the status of negotiations relating to price and terms of payment. City Council provided direction on each of those 3 items, and we have no further reportable action. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much, City Attorney Marcos. Thank you for that. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Givens, second by Councilmember Prout. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're now adjourned. Take care. Have a good night,
Guys.
everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Guys, good night, everybody.
Good night.